What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. The dev stream just ended, the Serena dev stream, essentially detailing everything that we're seeing in the patch that's coming next week. I sat and took some notes because this was a fairly long dev stream, about 3 hours or a little bit more than 3 hours, but it was jam-packed with information, and I kind of want to cherry pick some of the things which I think are the most important takeaways from this and put it together in a sort of like TLDR kind of system. At least that's what I'm going to attempt to do, to kind of like keep you from having to watch the entire 3 hours. Not that it's boring in any way, but it is a lot of stuff to sift through. Now, first of all, they started off with what I imagine probably the best place to start off something like this, and that is with some of the conscientious issues that are currently in the game, specifically regarding the fire rate issues, or what they're referring to as ghost bullets. In other words, your bullets getting cut by the game. It seems like their solution for this is going to be the fact that they're going to install a limit to how fast your weapon can actually shoot, which I believe the limit's going to be like 1,000 or something like that. By the way, everything that I'm mentioning in this list and that's on the screen right now are things that are still coming in the future, of course. So these are issues that they're further on developing on. Descendant balance was also addressed, and inevitably we have to talk about the fact that Innis is probably going to get a nerf. What they did mention is that the baseline, kind of like the power level that they like for Descendants, is like a Viessa, a Valby, a Haley, and this is kind of like their measuring stick that they're trying to get Descendants to be like. And so therefore it obviously means that Innis is an outlier because she is a lot better than those Descendants in some ways. And I think that they're going to try and obviously rein it in to be more like Freyna. And I mean, that's in the stream itself. There was looking at the comments and so on, there were quite a few people that were upset about this, since their philosophy for so long has been not to nerf, but rather to bring the other power level up. But most recently, especially on the Discord, they themselves, the game director and so on, have acknowledged the fact that this is causing an insane amount of power creep on their end. And it means that every time they release a new Descendant, they have to be better than that one, or at the very least as strong as that one. And because they're not bringing up the bottom Descendants fast enough, it creates this vast divide of like really, really good Descendants and then just like the rest. So it is what it is. We are going to see that again. That's not happening in this patch itself, but it's down the line. I believe it's in April somewhere. Then also there's going to be additional nerfs to the difficulty of Void Erosion Purge. I believe it's the first 29 levels or something like that. I don't think 30 is being touched right now. I most recently spent quite a bit of time in these after I came back from my trip, and I'm playing them solo, of course, so I can't really comment on the group difficulty specifically. But I felt that they were in a good place right now. I was able to finish, you know, my stages with comfortable times and so on, specifically obviously playing like strong Descendants that are good like this now, like Glay or, you know, Haley or someone like that. But further on nerfs just means that more people are going to be able to farm their cores and everything like that, which is a good thing because, of course, we are also getting additional Void Erosion Purge stages, right? So they're making the first 30 or the first 29 easier because we're getting 31 to 50. So obviously those are going to be the really, really tough ones then. And they're probably going to be equal to in difficulty to what we saw when we saw like the jump from like 26 to 30, and it was like, oh my god, this is insane. Then also core farming is getting some kind of changes here. From what I understand is they're also going to bring in a system that allows you to change cores for cores. So if you have like a shitload of purple ones and you're like, fuck this, I'm not going to do anything with that, you can actually exchange them for other colors, which is really good. Sometimes certainly certain cores have more value than others, especially in certain weapons where you are rolling 3 of the same kind or something like that. So just having another way for you to actually work within the economy and essentially, like, you know, help yourself out instead of having to go farm more cores is obviously really cool. Then next we got to see the new Descendant, which is Serena. She is the first Descendant that has this mechanic where you can essentially fly above the battlefield. One of the first things that was amazing to me is just how high you can actually fly. It's fucking insane. I thought it was just going to be like a couple of screens up or something like that, but you can go like super fucking high, especially when there's no ceiling. It is going to be interesting to see guys play her though in these fucking enclosed areas in Void Erosion Purge and just kind of like hitting the roofs the whole time like a moth that's trying to get to the nearest light source and just can't quite fucking make it. I gotta say, I mean, having not touched her at all, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a Descendant that I'm going to enjoy playing. But then again, if she's going to be super, super powerful, she's going to be a gun Descendant. So if she's in the air, her weapons deal more damage. And since weapons are some of the highest dealing damage things in the game right now, skill damage has kind of fallen off. Weapon damage is where it's at. that means that she's going to be really powerful, because just having this additional, I think it's 45% additional firearm attack or something like that on top of already strong weapons is going to make that shit be pretty fucking insane. So that being said, she also does buff other descendants and she can heal them and all kinds of shit like that. Her transcendent mods also change things up a little bit. And she's definitely gonna be fun to experiment with. Like I said, she might not be the best descendant for every single job, but I think it's also going to be a breath of fresh air in terms of like playing these open world areas, which is also something we're going to talk about, which is also something coming in this patch, a new zone. But playing these areas is going to feel, you know, different if you have some verticality. I think it's gonna be fucking cool though. Like obviously at the beginning it's gonna be like every fucking map you go to, there's just gonna be like Serena's hanging in the fucking air like bats. That being said, once the meta sort of like establishes itself a bit and dies down, it's gonna be cool to have like situations where you're like fighting on the ground, there's a fucking Serena flying over and like dive bombing the shit and boosting you up and giving you ammo and all this stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. I'm not gonna dive too much into her skills. They actually did show off the skills and everything like that, but I think it's gonna make a bit more sense once we actually have her in our hands. And then of course I'll do an in-depth video like I usually do, like we did with Innes and so on. Then the next thing was the Arche tuning tree, which is essentially like the Paragon board for those of you that have played some Diablo in the past. So this is going to be a further way for you to increase the power of your descendant. Essentially, you have these points that you can farm in a new activity that's coming in the game. And there's a maximum amount of these points. I believe it's 40 that you can farm. And then you can plot your points out on this board, essentially picking 40 nodes and getting, you know, from the outside to the inside to like the really juicy nodes. And then basically, you know, like introducing additional power to your descendant. All the usual suspects are here, like more damage to Colossus, firearm attack, cooldown reduction, more MP, more HP, more defense, and all of that stuff. So this is just going to be either a way that you can basically just juice those stats to even higher levels, kind of like almost like breaking them in a way, or it can also be a way to, let's say, for example, if you build your descendant extremely gas cannon and dealing a lot of damage, and you want to then maybe use this to just, you know, give yourself some survivability. So then you go for like HP nodes and cooldown reduction and defense and, you know, that sort of thing. It's going to be cool to experiment with this because it is a fairly big board. And I think there's a lot of options. 40 stat boosts or 40 little boxes that you can pick. Points is fairly decent-ish. I don't know how many there are in total on the board. I don't think 40 is half. It's 40 looks to be like about maybe like 40% of the board you can cover or something like that. Maybe not even. I took some notes here and my head's starting to wander now. But that being said, it is another way for us to juice power into our descendants. And interestingly enough, of course, we have all the old content still in the game. So by now, like the first fucking 8 or 10 void intercept battles that you can fight, these dudes are just getting fucking smacked like to death within 5 seconds. So this is going to make it even more. I'm looking forward to the time where we're seeing like 1 second gluttony kills and shit like that. I guess we might already have that. I need to look around on the internet. 1 second gluttony kills might already exist. I need to go check Sen's fucking channel. I'm sure he has that up. But yeah, this is going to be another way for us to just power creep the fuck out of the game. So, you know, power fantasy and all that, I'm all for it. I'd love to see, you know, guys break the game and just make insane fucking kills, insane builds. I like making those myself as well. So this is just another way for us to do that. Then they showed the next big, you know, void intercept boss. So the one that replaces Defiler. I believe the name is Tormentor. It's going to be weak to poison. They actually showed live footage of them fighting, or one of the you know, developers or something like that fighting this boss with Serena in the air with a fucking shotgun, absolutely just toasting this thing, like killing it just basically in about like a minute. I definitely think, like, I don't think the footage is doctored, but I think the damage is juiced up in such a way that, you know, because I believe the shotgun wasn't even like caught up or anything like that. It was probably like a subpar build or something. In fact, if I remember correctly, they even said, like, they were like, yeah, dude, this isn't like the best build that you can make. I'm looking forward to the audience really fucking making insane builds and crushing this boss. But still, killing this boss from the fucking air with a shotgun in 1 minute, and this is the pinnacle content, means that we're probably going to see like sub 10-second kills within the first couple of days of this boss launching. So Once again, yeah, I mean, this again, like I said, unless the footage is heavily doctored and they actually like jacked up the demo's damage to a lot more, and that the boss is actually going to be a lot tougher to kill. But we'll only know that when we get the boss in our hands next week. So if you're looking to still, you know, just murder the shit out of the Defiler, you essentially have a week left, or let's rather say the Defiler has a week left to be defiled, and then we'll have the new boss. Then there was also our new pet, so it's another dog. They are making some changes to the old dog, so to the sheepdog. So the point being that the sheepdog will now have an ability that replenishes your HP over time, like gradually heals you over time at intervals. And this new dog will actually reload the weapon that you're holding in the same kind of like interval thing. And then of course leveling up the dog will make that effect better. So I think in the future, this will keep on going. We'll see dogs or pets, whatever they bring in. Like, it's probably not always going to be dogs, like fucking a snake or an eagle or a dolphin or whatever. But pets that they bring in are going to have these effects like replenish ammo for you, replenish shield for you, replenish MP for you, maybe give you more damage, give you more Colossus damage, whatever. So it's going to have all these effects. And then in the end, you're going to have like a roster of pets that you pick for the right job. So if you're doing like 400% dungeons, then maybe you want something that, you know, increases your run speed or something, and there's going to be a pet for that. And then if you are doing like a very difficult encounter, then you want something that gives you more shield or gives you more defense or heals you, or, you know, whatever, something like that. Gives you elemental resistances or whatever. But that's certainly the way that they're going to go with the pets, and our next pet is coming next week. Of course, we're going to have to level these pets, which I guess means going back to that godforsaken fucking ship. I have stored up a bunch of pet food. I don't think it's enough to get this dog to 30, so fuck me. I guess I'm going back. But yeah, that might be something that I might encourage people to do now, from now until next week, is just get as much dog food as you can, so you could just level the dog up as fast as possible and not have to go into that ship, and rather focus on the other activities. Then we saw that we are getting some new ultimate weapons. This shit is dope as fuck. They showed more detail on some of the weapons and less detail on the others, but the bottom line is at least we know all 4 weapons. So the first one was Malevolent, whatever, which is a hand cannon. This shit reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you remember the Ripper, I think it was called, from Unreal Tournament, which was a gun that shot these fucking saw blades and it would just like behead shit. This is a hand cannon that works kind of like on the same principle. Whenever it hits a weak point, then it splits more blades out, and I think having more, if you have like a 4 out of 4 Malevolent, then probably there's going to be more blades or something like that. So it's obviously going to be like a crowd control, kill lots of enemies at once. I mean, you never know, it might be really, really good at dealing damage to a single target, because when you hit a weak point, it splits blades off, those blades come back, and maybe do that again. So if it's one target and you're hitting its weak point, it might just shred that target completely. But it does seem like it might be good at dealing with groups. It would be fun walking into a 400% dungeon with this and just fucking watching blades and guts and shit flying everywhere. I like the idea of it. I don't like the fact that it's on a hand cannon though. It would have been interesting to see this on like a submachine gun, but then again, difficult to say without having the gun in our hands. It might just end up being like a fan favorite, so let's see. Then we had Ancient Knight, which is a new assault rifle. It definitely seems like this weapon is built for Serena. Although, I mean, she'd probably do better with, like, I don't know, like a fucking Enduring Legacy or something like that. Something with a big clip that you can just hover in the sky and rain death with. But nonetheless, this has a bunch of stuff built into it, not necessarily upping its damage so much, but rather its stability and some buffs essentially from using it in, you know, while you're gliding. So that's why I say that it's for Serena. But other than that, nothing too special. Pisses me off. Assault rifles is one of my favorite classes in the game, and still the best assault rifle in the game seems to be a fucking purple Eternal Willpower. So, you know, looks like that's going to stay the same. Then they have an interesting named sniper rifle, ATAMs. Basically what this is they didn't really show too much information about this, but they did explain what the unique ability does. And when you aim down sights, you can charge it up with MP, so you almost like you infuse your bullets with MP, and then there's a certain amount of MP that you can put into it, and once you reach that threshold, you get like a super bullet. So it seems like it'll be good for like snipe setups and stuff like that. Definitely try it out with like Snipe Share and something like that. You might be able to do some funky shit like one tap, like the lower void intercept bosses or something like that. It'll be really funny to see that. But yeah, sniper rifles, they're not fantastic for me in the game. I hardly ever use them, so giving me a reason to use a sniper rifle specifically with a Descendant that snipes might be pretty cool. Last one was the TDA, Truly Deadly Arson. I just wanted to make sure I had that name right. So this is a beam rifle, fucking yawn. Basically what this is it's a fire damage piercing beam rifle that it seems that when you shoot with the beam, you set stuff on fire, and then once you set stuff on fire, it charges up the beam and basically gives it like an insane amount of pierce, and I don't know, turns it into like a fucking lava laser or something like that. So probably going to be good with like fire descendants and stuff like that. This might be, you know, I don't know, with us getting ultimate Blair, this might be them sort of like already throwing out a gun there that would be good with him. I don't know. I believe Serena is also a fire descendant, so it seems like season 2.2.2.69 or whatever the fuck is going to be a fire season. But then again, the Void boss we're getting is weak to poison, so yeah, I don't know, it might be a poison season, whatever, you guys know what I'm saying. So yeah, this is it. Beam rifle, still not, even though I was obviously, you know, changed my mind when I played with Voltaire for the first time, and I actually was like, yo, beam rifles can kind of fucking rip. I'm not the biggest fan of the weapon archetype, so it is what it is. Then the brand new activity, I guess you could say, or area in the game is going to be Sigma Sector. This is a two-stage map or two-piece map or something like that, which I guess you can only play one side at a time or something like that. This is where you're going to be doing the, you know, the majority of your farming in this new season, or this new half a season or whatever the fuck. And that's because I assume that Serena's pieces, if you want to, you know, research her, are going to come from there. But we know that the new ultimate weapons will come from there. We know that the fucking new sets, yes, there's new sets, we still have to talk about that, are also going to come from there. And also the the Arche tuning board, right? That board where we put the points into, that shit's also going to come from here. I don't know if it comes exclusively from here. I believe so, but I don't want to fucking say that and then be wrong. But so it seems like this area is going to be good for several reasons. It's kind of like, it's like an open world area, and it seems a lot like a special operation. So you have X amount of, kind of feels to me like it's a cross between special operations and 400% infiltrations, if that makes any sense. It has two difficulty levels, and obviously there's normal, and then there's going to be like the fucking super hard, which is only open to a higher MR level, so that, you know, like once you've got a decent build going and you've been playing for a while and you've got unlocked some stuff, so it seems like it's going to be more difficult. So it definitely seems like a cross between the special operations and 400% dungeons. There's going to be tons of fucking enemies that were showing, like Serena flying and just dive bombing the shit out of everything from the sky. It was dope as fuck. So yeah, it's nice that there's a new activity. Slowly but surely we're building up a big roster of things that we can do in the game. I know it's still super early, and a lot of these things we've done to death, spending fucking hundreds of hours in certain activities. I get it, but can you imagine, like, this is, you know, every couple of, I would say 6 to 8 weeks, we're getting like some new system that's being thrown into the game, some new area, something like that. So if they keep this momentum, like a year from now, there's going to be like fucking 5 handfuls of shit for you to do, which is obviously really cool, and has obviously been a complaint since the beginning from the community, going, yo, dude, there's nothing to do. And they really are trying to do something about this. Yes, I know it's still just you standing there with a gun and shooting stuff or anything like that, but I mean, by now, if that's something that irritates you about the game, then I don't know, you got to move on, because that's pretty much what the game is all about. Okay, and then I did mention the sets, so we're also getting 4 new sets. I'm not going to go through all the detail of that. They did mouse over some of them or hover over some of them so we could see the effects. Just from a cursory glance, I still didn't see anything that's better than Slayer. So I'm just going to put that out there. But these ones will also be farmable, of course, from this new activity, Sigma Sector. So we're going to have to see what these are like, if they're good. There's definitely one set that is specifically flavored towards Serena. And then some of the other sets we'll have to see, you know, if they're good from a skill-based setup or a weapon-based setup or a tanky setup or a farming setup or anything like that. But we'll definitely look into that when these bad boys drop. Now, the last 2 things I want to mention just quickly is there's, of course, photo mode. A lot of people have been clamoring for this shit. It's definitely going to make, you know, my thumbnail game like fucking super strong for the game. So I'm super looking forward to that. I know there's a lot of people that fucking live live and die for this kind of shit, especially if they spend a lot of time building on the aesthetic of their Descendant and outfits and colors and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool. Photo mode is kind of dope. And then one last thing I want to mention, which was like they kind of like put it right at the end of the fucking thing, and it's bound to piss a whole bunch of people off, is that they essentially are doing end of life for I guess you could say old gen or previous gen, which is PS4 and XBOX1. This game went through like a whole thing where originally I believe it was built on Unreal Tech 4, and then they moved it to Unreal Tech 5, which caused some delays from it launching and actually having some additional time in beta. The bottom line is it's always difficult for a developer when they are, we see it all the time with fucking like Call of Duty, all this shit, everything like that, that if you are building for 2 or multiple generations of hardware, that inevitably it causes, you know, developmental issues and things like that. But at the same time, like, it's never nice having, you know, these guys essentially being left behind. I don't personally know anybody that was playing on, you know, previous gen or something like that on PS4 and Xbox One, but there's bound to be a fuckload of people, especially because the game is free. And these guys are all going to get left in the dust. Of course, it's not instant. They're not hitting a switch next Thursday and like, bye-bye, motherfuckers. That's not happening. But I believe it's in June. Let me just check my notes here. June 19th is when they will sever the fucking connection, baby. But what I mean by that, by the way, is it means that there will not be any additional development after that point. I believe you'll probably still be able to play the... Are they just turning it off for these people? No, I think you'll still be able to play the game. It's just the fact that any future patches, future Descendants, future shit, future fucking content, everything like that, you're cut off from that, basically. So in a way, that is the kill shot, right? You'll definitely have people that still play it, but then the point is, how long can you still play this game if you get like nothing fucking new? Like nothing new. So yeah. But yeah, it's always sad to see that happen, especially like the game's been out like for a while now and most likely has built up some form of a fan base in terms of that. I believe the sentiment has always been that the game is far more popular on console than it is on PC. That's always something that people say when you look at the Steam numbers versus like the console numbers and so on. But yeah, it's sad for those guys. And yeah, there's literally nothing else to say about it. So they had about a year with the game, and then it was done and dusted. Of course, it's rough on anybody that's spent. I hope these guys did not spend a lot of money, because that's rough. But there's bound to be some people who are gonna be fucking hella upset about this, and I can't really fucking blame them. But that's it for the video. I did say that I was gonna try and make it as short as possible, and as summarized, it was a 3-hour plus stream, and I think I've kind of like condensed it down to just over 20 minutes. So hopefully some of the stuff inside this video and also just from the announcements are exciting to you in the game. We have a couple of days until we actually have this in our hands, which is, you know, pretty cool, something good to look forward to. Let me know in the comments down below what you're most excited about. Like, is it Serena? Is it the new boss? Is it the new Sigma sector? Is it the new fucking dog? Like, what is it? But as usual, thank you very, very much for all the support. I've got a couple more videos dropping over the weekend, and then of course I will see you guys next week when the patch drops and we start looking at all this new shit that we're getting. Other than that, as fucking always, fucking cheers.